Hey everyone, so for today's video, I am doing a Yesstyle makeup haul and try on. So I purchased quite a lot of products on Yesstyle and all of them were recommendations from you guys. So thank you so much for sending in your recommendations. A lot of you guys wanted to see me experiment a little bit more with K-Beauty and try out some different formulas. Spoiler alert, I'm very glad that I did. I'm really liking the makeup that I picked up. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you all my haul. I'm going to be trying on a lot of products, and then I will also be swatching some other products that I purchased. A lot of these formulas are just so smart, and I'm really excited to keep playing around with them. If you guys are excited about today's video, definitely make sure to give it a thumbs up if you are one of the people that were really excited to see this. And also make sure to subscribe if you enjoy it. Okay, so let's jump into the face. So I wanted to first start off with the VDL Lumilayer Primer. So this was not something that I got on Yesstyle. I have reviewed it in the past. I didn't buy a new primer, but I just figured it'd be nice to, you know, put on another Korean beauty brand rather than just go in with my typical primers. I really enjoyed this one. This does have quite a shift and a sheen to it. So if you prefer something that doesn't have that, you know, shine pigment, then just keep that in mind. Personally, I prefer something that's just straight glow rather than a pigment. So that was one thing I didn't love about this one, but I have to say, you know, under a foundation, you're not really gonna see that. Really, a lot of these, if not most of these products, were recommendations from you all. This was a recommendation from you all for a foundation, which is the Peach Sea Honey Peach Glow Cushion. So I have the shade 01 Ivory, and it is a good old cushion foundation. Okay, first impressions, look at this little sponge. It's a peach. I'm sorry, that is just too freaking cute. I picked this foundation and was interested in trying it out because they say that it is buildable, it's really glowy, but it's also long lasting. So that sounded like a really nice combination. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to use the sponge that they give you. We have this little protective. This is like very satisfying to me. That's some ASMR that I would listen to. So here we are, and I'm just going to apply. I'm not sure if the shade match is going to be good. I hope it is, because the concealer is not a great shade match. Okay, that is actually a decent shade match, so that's good. That is one problem with Korean makeup, is that there's not a lot of shades to choose from, especially if you have a deeper skin tone. I'm gonna cover up this freaking breakout that I have. So right away, I think that it's laying really nicely on the skin. It's definitely giving coverage, which I like. It's not super dewy. Honestly, I think is a good thing. I don't think everyone wants a cushion foundation that's super glowy. It's also applying really nicely over these spots. It's not, you know, extra smoothing. It's not going to make your texture go away. Listen, that's not really something that we can fully expect from makeup. If your skin texture is not doing well, makeup can only do so much. But I will say that it's not exaggerating texture, which I really need right now. And I also do think that it's certainly buildable, and I'm definitely getting more coverage, which is always a good thing. I love a buildable foundation, and it doesn't have to be buildable to full coverage, but I really do appreciate a foundation that can just give you a little bit more if you build it up and not look heavy, and that's really key. I hate for my skin to look heavy as I apply more product. So far so good. I actually really like the way my skin's looking. The great thing about cushion foundations is that they just look really skin-like, and especially if you find a formula that really jives with your skin type, you can get a really seamless look, and right now I'm really liking it. So yeah, I mean, right now, absolutely no complaints. This was definitely more affordable too, so yeah, I really like that. But let's get on into the concealer. So I'm not gonna put this concealer on because it would just ruin the whole look, but this is the Moist Creamy Concealer from Apu. I have the shade 03 Porcelain, which is not my shade. This is definitely too dark for me. This was super affordable, so I was really excited to see how this would look under my eyes, but unfortunately, it is not a great shade match. So I'm just going to go in very quickly with my Maybelline Fit Me. Now let's go into the cheeks. So I bought 2 different cheek products. A very highly requested cheek product to try out were the Apu Juicy Ping blushers, and I have mine in the shade Apricot. A lot of you really were interested in my thoughts on this one. Also purchased the 3CE Take a Layer Multipot. I got a lot of questions about this one too, and this is the shade Diotima. Since I am going to be using a 3CE palette, I am going to go in with the Apu Juicy Ping blusher. I did put this out on the back of my hand when I received my order, and honestly, the fragrance is quite strong. I don't like a ton of fragrance in my products, and also the VDL has quite a strong fragrance too, so that is a little bit disappointing, but we will try this out and see how it goes. So I'm just going to apply it on with the fingers, and then I have a dry sponge. A dry sponge really does a good job at blending out cream products. If you want to get the true finish out of them, you don't want to add more moisture. So this is certainly sheer and buildable, which is definitely in line with a lot of Korean makeup. I find that the style really is about building up sheer layers, which I really like. Definitely has kind of a watery texture to it, but it sheers out really nicely. I'm always worried with liquid blushes whether or not it's going to move around the product under it, and this is not doing that at all. If you are someone that loves sheer blushes, you don't want to have too much pigment to your blush, then I highly recommend this one. It just sheers out so beautifully. Wow, so I think, you know, it sucks that there's so much fragrance in here, but I have to say I can't really smell it once it's on my skin. Just kind of a look at the color. I turned down my lights a little bit so you could see. Yeah, I am a big fan of it. And it also, I have to say, it sets down a little bit. It doesn't remain really dewy. It's more so of like, you know, a more natural finish. It feels kind of like the texture of a cushion foundation, except in a liquid form. Like once it's applied to the skin, it really mimics the same look that a cushion foundation would give you. So yeah, I really like it. Yeah, if you love a good sheer blush, this is certainly one to look into. I also had a few people asking me if this was a dupe for the Cosmetics Color Drop Serum Blush. And right away, I have to say the formulas are definitely different. The Cosmetics definitely has more of a serum oil texture to it. That one just has a little bit more slip to it, whereas this feels very watery. It definitely goes on thinner on the skin as well. It has less dew, so it's just a different finish as well. Both beautiful products, I just think that they're a little bit different. But let's move on into the eyes. I have quite a few different shadow products. I thought it might be fun to do a kind of K-beauty one and done shadow video. You guys really liked my one and done shadow video that I did on my channel. I'll leave that down below. So I thought it would be cool to try out a bunch of different shadows and then eventually maybe do that video or include these in a kind of affordable one and done shadow video. Let me know down below which you would prefer, which you think would be a fun video to do. So I have a few different shadows and I also have a palette that I want to use. I have the Misha Glitter Prism Shadow in the shade Kitten. I really wanted to try out a couple of different shadows, and this shade Kitten is very pretty. It's kind of like a duochrome gold shade, definitely a more subtle sheer kind of glitter, definitely in line with the K-beauty aesthetic. But for one with a little bit more impact, if that's what you want, I also picked up the BBIA Jewel Shadow in the shade 09 Starry Night. It did come shattered, unfortunately. Yesstyle did refund me, but this definitely has more impact. You can see right next to each other. Certainly two different looks. If you want more base pigment and more shine, then the Jewel shadows I think will give you more of that metallic look. But the Misha is a really kind of subtle shimmer that I think would be really pretty washed out all over the lid. So it just kind of depends on what you're looking for. And I did get 2 other BBIA shadows. I was really into a lot of the BBIA colors and kind of just their overall story and aesthetic. So I also picked up the Plush Shadow in 04 Velvet, and right away, you guys, this just looks like it's going to be the creamiest one and done shadow, like such a unique color. I'm really excited to keep trying this one out because the pigment is very creamy, and I love a powder shadow that kind of translates as a cream on the lid. That's definitely a powder that I can get down with. But I also picked up the BBIA Shade and Shadow in Red Beans, which is 02, and this looks like an absolutely gorgeous, really gorgeous reddish brown for in the crease. And I was really hoping it would be like that true red bean color, and it absolutely is. Just feel like it's going to be so flattering on so many different eye colors. So someone with, you know, green eyes like me, this I think is going to be super flattering. If you have brown eyes or even hazel eyes, I can just imagine this really looking like absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, I am very excited to keep trying this one out. I'm glad that I went with this shade, but what we are going to try today is this palette from 3CE. So 3CE is more expensive than a lot of the products we're talking about. I believe this was around $30, $32 maybe. I kept looking at other shadows and I would just always come back to this because this just looks so up my alley. So this is the Mood Recipe Multi-Eye Color Palette. I have it in Overtake. Look at that, you guys. This is just such a beautiful color story. You get such a wide variety of textures within such a small palette. You have these sequin shades, you have a couple of satins, you have mattes, and you have these more metallic shades. So there's just a lot to choose from. I was also very interested in the Glitter Bomb palette, and that's all just glitter toppers. It was sold out, unfortunately, but I still have my eye on that one. First, I'm going to go into this color right here. It's kind of just a beigey, it's more of a beigey color that I think will be nice in the crease. I don't mind a shadow that is more buildable. I'm definitely okay with that. I prefer a shadow that blends easily though. I don't like a really fussy powder shadow. So we will see how these are. So far so good. I'm actually gonna move you in even closer. That's better. Now we can get a little bit too up close and personal. So now I'm going to use this shade over here. This is more of a satin, and again, it's just a really nice kind of neutral shade. I will say that these powders are a little bit more powdery. Like they definitely have a little bit of kickback, which is fine. I'm just tapping off my brush as I go, and I'm not experiencing any fallout. I'm just kind of putting that on my outer corner and then a little bit into the crease as well. I really like K-Beauty eye looks because they're not super graphic. I'm not really a fan of a super graphic eye look for every day. I really like something more blown out, something that's just not as structured. So I really think that these shadows work well if you like that. And that shade did have a touch of a kind of satin finish, but it's not sparkly. It just gives a little bit more of that creamy look, which I mentioned that I really like. So I think we have a nice structure down on the lids. Honestly, I'm really liking the way that this color looks. It's just this really pretty reddy brown with a shimmer throughout. And what I like to do is just take a shade like this and put it on my fingers and then put it all over my lid. 100 times, yes. There are definitely some sequin shadows that when you put it on the lid, you don't see the glitter anymore. With this one, the glitter is still suspended into the shadow. Very even pigment, but it's not super pigmented either. So I really like the balance of pigmentation within these shadows. See how it just has that touch of sparkle? I also like it that as you continue to press the product in, the shimmers kind of come out a little bit, so I think that that's really nice. Again, I really like this kind of sequin shadow formula. I like that you can still see the glitters suspended throughout. It blends really nicely. But now let's put a little bit of a glimmer on the middle of the eyelid. I'm gonna go in with this shade down here. It's a little bit more of a pinky champagne. It's certainly more subtle, and I'm not sure if the undertone is perfect for this, so I am going to add a little bit of the gold as well. Yeah, I think that works a little bit better. So I'll do the same thing on the other lid. I'll kind of mix the two, but that's really, really pretty. And you have to keep in mind with these products that I don't think that they're going for over the top metallic, and that's just not something that is the aesthetic of these products, but I think that's why I like them. I just like that it's a soft glitter. It's definitely a wearable glitter. It's nice for every day. It's not something you're going to be, you know, afraid to put on if you do like a more subtle look. It's nice and versatile because it still does feel like I have that sheen. So next I want to go in to this darker matte, and I'm going to put that on the outer corner and a little bit on the lower lash line, but not a lot. Just going to build it up a little bit on the outer edge and just kind of flick it out a touch. Blending really, really nicely as well. So I think I'm gonna call that the eye look. There's just a really beautiful softness to the shadows. The way that they translate on the lids just looks really natural. You're still going to be able to get the definition that you want and the sparkle that you want, but it's just a little bit more approachable. So I really, really like that. So I'm going to quickly put on some mascara. I'm going to do my brows as well, and then we will move on into the extensive lip products that I bought. Okay, so mascara and brows are done. I just have to say, before we move on, I just really, really like this eye look. Again, I really like how soft it is. There's just like that level of effortlessness to the look and the colors, the way they all mesh together. I did get some mascara on this eye, which is pissing me off. But yeah, as a whole, if you love that kind of sequin shadow look, I feel like the sequin shadows in here are like really, really incredible. I'm not used to wearing a shadow like that all over the lid, and I just really, really like the way it looks. So next, let's move on into the lips. So I have a few different lip products to choose from. Today's look, I'm not sure what I want to do. First product that I bought was the Roman Zero Velvet Tint in the shade Witty. Wow, what a gorgeous, gorgeous color. This is also super, super freaking pigmented, but I think it's going to be really pretty if you just add a little bit and then kind of blot it out onto the lips. I can imagine this being gorgeous for that as well. A lot of you were interested in my thoughts on this one. I also picked up the Juicy Pang Tint. This one smells like a grape popsicle. And I have the shade Fig, which this does not strike me as a fig shade whatsoever. It actually is way more of like a peach shade. Definitely strikes me as kind of a juicy lip stain. There are some more really fluid, highly pigmented lip stains. If you're familiar with the Dear Darling one, this one is way more sheer. It's definitely more of a kind of juicy formula that's a little bit tacky. I could seriously eat that though. It smells so good. I also picked up the Apu Water Light Tint, and this is in the shade Apricot, kind of like an orangey red. This is certainly more pigmented than the Juicy Pang is, and the texture is a little bit thicker. But wow, is it a really, really pretty color. Also, side note, so they call this an apricot shade. This is an apricot, so don't go off of your notion of what a fruit looks like and a color that would be associated with that fruit. Really just try and look at swatches online if you can find them. And don't go off the swatches that the brand puts out there, because I also don't think that those are truly representative of the colors. Support your favorite content creator and go check out their swatches. And lastly, I think this is the one I want to go with. I'm kind of torn, but this is the Roman Glasting Water Tint, and I have it in the shade Brick River, and I think that this is the color that's going to go really, really well with this look. This formula, you know, I haven't tried all of these out on my lips. I've only just swatched them on the back of my hand, so I'm only speaking from that perspective. But this is the formula that seemed the most interesting to me, so I really want to try it out. And let me know, do you guys want to see like a roundup of K-Beauty lip products, my favorites and the ones that I don't like, kind of like a best and worst? I'd love to do that video, but I think this is the one we'll go in with. So again, it's the Glasting Water Tint in Brick River. And I'm going to apply it and maybe blot it out. We'll see how I think it pairs with everything. So again, it's definitely more of a sheer formula. The formula definitely has a slippiness to it. It's nice and easy to apply. It really reads to me as a lip tint kind of product. There's a sheerness and a translucence to it, but you can certainly build up the pigment as well. I think I want to blot it out just a little bit with a Q-tip. I just like to kind of soften the edges a little bit. Really, really pretty. I like that it's a tint that still has a plushness to it. There are certainly some tints I think that they just look a little bit flat. Sometimes a more popsicle kind of lip stain can look a little bit drying on the lips and can kind of settle into the lines of your lips just because the pigment is super, super strong. But because this has a little bit more of, just a little bit more weight to it, I find that it looks a little bit softer. It's not the most like plumping, you know, softening look to the lips, but if you like a little bit more of that stained appearance, I mean, right away, I'm more impressed with the way that this looks than something like the Dear Darling tint. Also wanted to mention one more shadow that I forgot I picked up. It's another one from BBIA. It's a Cashmere shadow, and it's the shade Cozy Dia 01. And you guys, like, look at that. The way that K-Beauty suspends their glitter into pigments just gives it such a different shift and such just a softness and an elegance that I just really, really appreciate. Super excited to see how this looks even just like alone on the lids, just washed over the lids. Oh my gosh, I'm really, really excited to try this one too. So this is the completed look. I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. So let me know some of the follow-up videos that you guys want to see from this one. Do you want to see like a best and worst K-Beauty lip swatch video, a one and done shadow video? Let me know your ideas. I would love to keep using these products and showcasing them because the formulas I just think are really, really gorgeous. Of course, if you want to see those videos, definitely make sure to give this video a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe as well. So with all of that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.